It's hard work. It's hard work to lose 9 major decisions in courts around America by one Department of Justice under its chief legal officer, Donald Trump. And it's not just the 9 losses, which I'll detail for you. It is right below the hood what it means for the future of the Trump administration and Donald Trump. And it's grim. It's grim for him. As the worm has turned and the Democrats and others who oppose Donald Trump have gotten their groove back and have been given gifts by Donald Trump, which are being fully exploited as crowds join with courage and join with courts to oppose Donald Trump. I cover it on the Legal AF podcast, and here's a clip. And I want to do first 9 losses in 7 days in 8 courts. You know, it's like the 12 days of Christmas, except it's the Grim Reaper version for Donald Trump and his assault on justice. Now, we should not be surprised. Donald Trump has been taking a sledgehammer to the Department of Justice, to the federal judiciary, to the rule of law since he got in office. This is what happens when you elect a felon in chief who's been criminally convicted of crimes and who's been given immunity by the United States Supreme Court. And he believes the Supreme Court has his back. In other words, he's paid off all the refs and he's playing a game that's tilted on a tilted playing field or court, and he's got the refs in his back pocket. And this is what you get. So he hollowed out the hollowed reputation of the Department of Justice. He put a meat puppet, a crash test dummy in the form of Pam Bondi, where he's really his own attorney general. He's put all of his criminal defense team to protect him. Again, theft of honest service. He doesn't care about you and me. He doesn't get up in the morning and brush his teeth and think about how is he going to help the American people. He thinks how he's going to make money for Trump Incorporated. This is a guy who's so out of touch, so clueless, so tone deaf, that on election day, he trolled the poor. He attacked the impoverished in America, who is such a fragile population. We should be embracing them, regardless of our political stripe. And he attacked them and said, effectively, I'm going to make a political football out of you and make a political example out of you because I guess you're poor, to teach the Democrats a lesson. And I'm not going to make any of the $8 billion of SNAP payments. Now, fortunately, groups like the 23 attorneys general, who are Democrats, and Democracy Forward ran into courts and got a series of orders that got $5 billion out of $8 billion flowing to the American people and to the people that are the most fragile. But doesn't it say everything you need to know that Donald Trump was tormenting the poor? And I'm talking about poor Americans with a capital red, white, and blue A. Not Trenda Aragua, not brown people that he hates, not transgender. I mean, it could include transgender Americans. It's not, migrants who don't have proper immigration status, not criminals. Americans who've done nothing wrong, whose only crime is being proud but impoverished in America. And he decided to do it on election day because he has not noticed that the ground has shifted under him related to the economy. There's been a paradigm shift in the last 6 months, and nobody sent Donald Trump the memo. He was so busy using Elon Musk to crush and crash the institutions of our government that he didn't notice that everyday Americans were suffering and are suffering. And we know what to do when we're suffering. We vote the bastards out. We run them out on a rail. Let me give one high level here before my break about the losses in 7 days. I can do it with your help. Let me start with, we'll start in Rhode Island. And you can keep count here tonight on Legal AF and how many I get to cover. This is this week alone, 7 days. Chief Judge of the Rhode Island Federal Court, Judge McConnell, early in the week, and almost got lost in the shuffle, issued a permanent injunction after trial, blocking permanently the attempts by the Trump Department of Transportation to block infrastructure, transportation funds to states, blue states, because they won't cooperate with Donald Trump's depraved, inhumane immigration policies. That's now been blocked. Those funds are now flowing. We'll wait to see if there's an appeal, but right now they're flowing. Same judge, Judge McConnell, that's number 2, in Rhode Island, issues not 1 but 2 temporary restraining orders to force the Trump administration to release $8 billion worth of SNAP payments through electronic cards for anti-hunger programs. 42 million Americans, 16 million children now have gotten at least 5 out of 8 of the $1 billion for the November payment because of that temporary restraining order and the courage of Judge McConnell and the courage of Judge Talwani in Massachusetts, who had a case in front of her. First case was brought by Democracy Forward. Second case was brought by the 23 attorneys general and about SNAP payments. And Judge Talwani also issued an order that got that $5 million flowing. That's 3. Now let's move down the coast to the Eastern District of Virginia, where 2 different judges issued orders against the Trump administration. Judge Fitzpatrick excoriated the Department of Justice in the Comey case, the former FBI director, and ordered that they immediately turn over all documents to James Comey to allow him to prepare for his trial in about 2 months, and said that he was tired of the Department of Justice prosecuting first and investigating second. Judge Curry, a South Carolina judge who's presiding over the Eastern District of Virginia motions to disqualify Lindsay Halligan, ordered all of the grand jury documents and information and transcripts about Lindsay Halligan to be turned over to her so that she could review whether Lindsay Halligan has been illegally appointed or not. That's in Eastern District of Virginia. We also have in the District of Columbia, staying on that area, a jury returned a verdict in 3 hours. That sandwich guy, the paralegal in the Department of Justice now fired, who in a peak of anger, a fit of anger, threw a fully wrapped Subway sandwich from Subway, salami sandwich, with mustard and onions, according to the Custom and Border Patrol officer, at his chest, at his bulletproof Subway sandwich-proof vest, and then ran. They tried to indict him for a felony of assault on a federal officer. No self-respecting grand jury in D.C. would indict that. So then Janine Pirro and her crackerjack, crackpot U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. brought the case as a misdemeanor. The jury, over a plate of sandwiches, I'm not making this up, acquitted. My favorite moment in that trial is when the lawyer for the defendant looked at the jury and said, "He did it. He threw the sandwich." And then proved that the sandwich could not have exploded all over law enforcement because it was still wrapped on the sidewalk. Despite one of my favorite pieces of testimony in my 35-year career, the cop saying, the Border Patrol officer saying, "I could smell the onions and the mustard." Oh, the horror. I mean, I agree with him on the onions. I'm not putting that on my salami sandwich, although it does sound tasty tonight. So 2 for Rhode Island, 1 for Massachusetts, Judge Talwani, 2 in the Eastern District of Virginia, 1 jury verdict. And now I'm not even getting to tariffs yet. Now let me move to Chicago. Judge Ellis enters a preliminary injunction. She says the actions of the Trump shock forces in Chicago, on the streets of Chicago, to abuse First Amendment protesters, including the clergy, including the members of the press, shock the conscience. She found that the leader of Operation Midway Blitz, Bavino, lied under oath. We call that perjury. And she entered her injunction blocking, for now, the Trump administration from abusing and violently attacking members of the clergy, members of the press, and veterans who are protesting Donald Trump's policy. She read from the famous poem by Carl Sandburg called Chicago, in courtroom, also quoted a number of founding fathers and ended with James Madison's letter to his wife, Abigail. John Adams' letter to Abigail Adams about once freedom is lost and liberty is lost, it can't be regained. We now move finally to number 8, I assume it is now, 2 McConnell, 1 Talwani, D.C. jury, 2 in the Eastern District of Virginia, 1 in Chicago. Now let's move to Oregon. This is 8 losses for Donald Trump in the last week. Judge, I'm going to talk more about some of these in detail on the show. Judge Immergut issued her final permanent injunction after trial, blocking for now the use of National Guard on the streets of Oregon, finding that Donald Trump violated the Constitution. He violated the 10th Amendment. He violated the statute related to the delegation of his authority, and she has permanently blocked it under the facts there. Legal AF, the podcast, number 1 law and politics podcast in America on YouTube and on Apple Pod and Spotify. Help us continue to grow, continue to expand. We could use more views. We could use more downloads. Come over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel, as we're about to crash through the 1 million subscriber barrier, giving us the street cred we need to get the contributors, to get the videos together, the reporting, the honest commentary, and the interviews that you crave. All on Legal AF's YouTube. And come over to Legal AF Substack. So become a member there. And then Legal AF Substack, become a member and a paid member for less than $7 a month. And we will give you the knowledge that you need to fight it out in the streets, to fight it out at the ballot box, to combine courts, crowds, and courage together to overcome this Trump administration. Till my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.